cell phones.
All right, we'll go ahead and start with questions to the student athletes.
Brittney, starting with that dunk, how good did that feel? And it kind of seemed like that it was at least part of, if not the kind of defining moment in the momentum turning. Just talk about that dunk and then just kind of how it felt.
Noah saw me and threw it up to me up the court, and I kind of just pivoted around and dunked it. I guess you could say it was a little energized, so definitely started playing a little bit more energy after that.
Cherry Hill, Baylor Insider. Were you expecting her to dunk it when you threw it up there, Odyssey?
Well, I don't think that she knew I saw her because she was wide open, but I didn't think she was gonna catch it because I threw it kind of low. I overthrew it, but I didn't think she was gonna dunk it. It surprised me, but yeah, it's always great to see her when she dunks.
Odyssey, they stuck within 10 of you guys for maybe the first 10, 12 minutes of the game. How much of that was them playing fired up, and how much of it was you guys just kind of knocking off the rust from 2 weeks?
I think we came out a little excited, a little too excited. We got off to a slow start. I thought Prairie View did a good job of playing defense and forced us to shoot jumpers. I think we didn't attack the goal from the jump, but we knew what we had to do, and we slowly picked it up and got back on track.
Any more questions?
Odyssey, second half in particular, looked like the defense picked up, the defensive intensity starting with you. Was that intentional? I mean, is that where it started, maybe the defensive intensity?
Well, it always starts with me on the defensive end and offensive end, but I didn't recognize me picking it up. I guess I was just a little more anxious, kind of concentrating on getting a little more steals, and just defending. That's something I love to do, and I enjoy doing it. And whenever I can help my team score and create opportunities for my teammates, it's always fun.
I don't know if you noticed, it just seemed to me, I mean, I've been in this place before where it was loud, but after that dunk and then after the way you guys are playing defense, it just seemed to me like your crowd really, really was into it, almost like wanting to show you guys how much they appreciate it. Did you notice that at all?
Definitely. You know, our crowd, they're great here, and tonight they were outstanding. They just, you know, they cheered, and we were able to feed off them, so they definitely helped us out a lot.
Any more questions for the student athletes? All right, thank you, ladies.
You guys only had 3 fouls tonight. I mean, this is the kind of game that could be sloppy against an opponent like that, but it didn't seem like it was. It seemed like you were able to keep up the intensity. I guess can you maybe talk about the style of play against an opponent that was outmatched?
Well, there were a lot of things, if you look at the stat sheet, that I don't know that I've ever been a part of a game where the other team didn't shoot free throw. So I guess you're alluding to when you don't foul much, you're not going to shoot a free throw. I thought that our turnover to assist ratio was very good as well. I thought our defense was better in the second half. I thought it was much better after Brittney dunked it. I just thought it energized the whole arena. And, I challenged a couple of them in the locker room at halftime. It's been 2 weeks since we played, and I just thought we had more to give, and I thought they came out in the second half and did some things better on the defensive end of the floor.
Ricardo LeCompte, KWTX. After having a 13-day layoff, I mean, now are you more of a fan or less of a fan of that now?
Ask me tomorrow. Or no, ask me after Tuesday. I don't know, but you know, we're not any different than Florida State. I think they played either the day before we did. It's just they've been doing it for a long period of time, but this was the first year that the women moved the Big 12 tournament separate from the men. And I don't know that there were that I saw anything that I would say I wish we wouldn't have done that because it affected the way we played. I just thought, believe it or not, this team and the run they made in the tournament last year, they were still excited to be out here for the first NCAA tournament game. And I think some of that excitement, butterflies, or whatever you want to call it, probably led to doing some things that were uncharacteristic of us early in the game. Will, you mentioned it was just a 10-point lead. Well, this is NCAA tournament. Those things, you're not going to blow people out right off the bat. Give us some time to, get our wheel and our motor going, but yet also give credit to Prairie View. As I told their coach before the game, if she hadn't gotten a pay raise, she needs to find another job. She's been to the tournament 3 straight years. And that program had only been to the tournament 2 years prior to that, and she's done one heck of a job with her basketball program. And give those guys credit.
Pierre Nugent, KCEN coach, Florida State. I saw you had a chance to see some of their game. Your thoughts on them and what you expect to see on Tuesday?
I was actually catching myself watching their 2-3 zone, and then I slapped myself and said, why am I watching that? Because we're not going to probably see that kind of defense. But when you watch teams that play a lot of zone, it would be like watching Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. You're trying to learn. I'm not a very good zone coach, so I watch coaches who teach it. But then I catch myself and I think, they're not going to play it that wide against us. They're going to crowd Griner. So you don't really scout them from the defensive end of the floor. You try to scout what they do offensively. And I just thought very athletic. I thought a senior team, 2 wing players that score a lot and shoot a lot for them, but yet post players that rebound the ball and feed each other very well. Sue's been around the game a long time. This isn't her first rodeo, and she'll have her team ready to play.
Not just Brittney's dunk, but I think Brooklyn had a steal and score there right after that. Those 2 passes especially seem to kind of ignite the crowd. Kind of talk about that passage and just kind of what it gave you.
It did. It just all started flowing. And Michelle, I agree with you. This crowd was pretty electric tonight. I thought they were loud, and they were loud early. They didn't wait until the dunk to get excited. They understand that not very often do you get to host NCAA tournament games, but I just think it was like a snowball effect. We did one thing, we started doing another thing. I thought Odyssey Sims had an unbelievable pass play back to her again from Brooke back to Odyssey. Those kind of things, that's just kids playing hard. That's just kids understanding this is tournament time.
Kim, I may have heard wrong, but did you yell out dunk it when she passed it to her? How would you? I mean, that was one of her better dunks, wouldn't you think?
They're all good. We've got to quit asking which dunk is the best dunk. People, how many times have you sat in a game and watched a girl dunk? They're always special. But yeah, I mean, it was almost like a reverse, wasn't it? She just, I hope she gets one every game. I hope we can all watch it every game that she plays in the tournament. But, yeah, that's her athleticism. Jerry, I guess to fans and to media, y'all, that may be one of her better dunks. But to us that see her every day, we want to see a windmill. We want to see a 360 because we've come to expect that from Brittney.
Skyler Dixon with the Associated Press. Kim, all the number 1 seeds have advanced mostly easily, and the upsets are kind of few and far between in the women's tournament, unlike the men's. Your thoughts on that at this early point in the tournament?
I don't have a thought about it. I watch the men's games. I love it. I don't compare. It's like comparing apples to oranges. The games are different. There's obviously more parity, more guys across the country that can play this game. There is more parity in the women's game, but you know, you can't compare it to the men's game. There's just so many guys that can flat out play, that go to schools and can change programs, and we're getting more women and girls playing basketball, but I really don't think about it very much.
Kim, John Morris, Baylor Radio. I think at the point you took Brittney out, she had 33 points. Prairie View had 33 points. Was this the type of game you expected, wanted from her? I mean, she had the height advantage, but the type of game you wanted from her going into the postseason?
I just wanted us to play good. I wanted Brittney to, as I always do, to have a presence in the paint. Everything we do goes through Brittney. That doesn't mean we're a one-person team, but the way our offense is set up, our offense is Brittney touch the ball and everybody else do what you're supposed to do and be where you're supposed to be. And she just was isolated down there with smaller players a lot early, and those guards have come to understand all we got to do is get her the ball and I'm going to get credit for an assist. But I did think that in some places in the game, and I told them in a timeout, we were ball watching. We would throw the ball to Brittney and we'd say, go do your thing, girl. We don't need to do that. You need to cut. You need to go where you're supposed to go. You need to run our offense. And they got better as the game went on.
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle. Kim, can you talk about Odyssey? And I think she had 10 assists, no turnovers, 5 steals. What she brings, and if I'm not mistaken, a couple years ago when you won by 40, she kind of had an off night, and you still win big. But when you get her involved and have her doing everything that she does, what that does for your team?
Odyssey is just a special talent, probably pound for pound. She may be one of the strongest players we have. She's just tough. She's just probably, 5'6", but she's just solid as a rock. And when you bring the ball to the floor against her, you can't really run your offense because you're worrying about her. And so she takes you out of what you're trying to do. And then when you do make the pass, then you got to worry about Griner. And then when you do drive, you got to worry about Griner. So Odyssey energizes us from a defensive standpoint, because if Odyssey's out there really pressuring the ball, it allows our wings to really get in passing lanes. And because of Brittney's presence in the paint, it allows us to do things defensively on the wing that I would never allow a team to do. And when Brittney leaves, we've got to change our thinking, and that is making sure we keep the ball to a sideline and encourage them to drive toward Brittney. That's not really what you're taught to do defensively, but because we have Brittney, we do that. Odyssey, 10 assists to 0 turnovers. The cutest thing about Odyssey is that that's all she talked about when we came down the hall. Coach, I didn't have a turnover. She didn't talk about her 10 assists. She didn't talk about her 12 points. She goes, Coach, I didn't have a turnover. So we kind of pound that in our point guards' heads about don't turn the ball over. You know, it's kind of like a quarterback in football. If they're going to have turnovers, interceptions, try to hand it off and turn it over, you're not going to win many football games. And in basketball, when you play the good teams, if you turn the ball over, it's going to come back to bite you.
Time for one last question. Anybody else? All right, thank you.